The gaming summer showcase season has come and gone for another year. There were several shows over the course of the week, and PlayStation, Summer Games Fest and Xbox all had big reveals. With all of these new announcements, the gaming calendar for the rest of 2025 is really filling out. Let me guide you through what we know so far, as I'm sure there's loads of games that you've missed. This is going to be a relatively extensive list of all the games coming out in the rest of 2025 that I think that you should circle in your calendars. Before I jump into it, if you enjoy this video, please consider leaving a like and subscribe, or if you don't like it, then give me a thumbs down and let me know how I can be better for you. Death Stranding 2 On the Beach is a sequel to Hideo Kojima's divisive 2019 Amazon delivery driver simulator. It is a game I personally enjoyed very much, with all its wacky antics and egregiously long cutscenes, both of which seem to be returning in the second game, as what we've seen so far is drenched in Kojima quirkiness. It looks gorgeous, and from what we've heard in previews, it takes Sam out of the US and puts him in Mexico and Australia. There's not too long to wait on this one, as Death Stranding 2 releases on June 26th for PS5 only. The much anticipated Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3 and 4 remakes are next. These beloved titles have been reworked from top to bottom, much like their predecessors, and they look fantastic. Much like the 1 and 2 remakes, it will feature newly scanned in skaters in their current ages, as well as the fun side characters like Doom Guy and Michelangelo. There have been 3 new areas added, with the water park, movie studio and pinball park, the latter of which includes a giant Tony Hawk himself. Pro Skater 3 and 4 remakes hit on July the 11th and come to every platform, including last-gen Xbox One, PS4 and Nintendo Switch. It doesn't look like we are getting a 3D Mario this year, but what we are getting is Donkey Kong Bonanza, heavily rumored, although not confirmed, to be from the Mario Odyssey team. Bonanza focuses on terraforming, with seemingly everything being destructible terrain. I love the look of this, and I'm really hopeful it will be a great game. I just hope Donkey Kong doesn't dab like he does in Mario Kart World. I guess I'll find out when this drops on July 17th for the Switch 2 only. One day later, we get Shadow Labyrinth, a game where you are followed by a dark Pac-Man. This game seems to be a Metroidvania that focuses on dark, gritty combat whilst being accompanied by Pac-Man, known in this game as Puck. Puck is no cheerleader though, as the trailers we have seen show it transforming into some pretty sinister looking monsters. I believe this game ties into the Secret Level TV show, although I've not seen it, so I'm not 100% sure of its connections. Shadow Labyrinth still presents itself as this fun, mysterious game to me, and I can't wait to find out more when it drops on July 18th for PC, PS5, Xbox Series and Switch. Souls-like Wu-Chang Fallen Feathers from Chinese developer Lin Z is one I have my eye on. I'm quite picky with my Souls-likes, and this is one I'm not completely sold on. It has shown some promise in trailers so far, and the devs have stated it is inspired by a lot of Eastern culture and will, quote, bring to life the chaotic and dark late Ming Dynasty era. If this one interests you, then check it out on July 24th when it comes to Xbox Series, PS5 and PC. Obsidian Entertainment's second release of 2025 is Grounded 2. This was a surprise announcement coming out of the Xbox showcase and features the same cast of characters set 2 years after the events of the first game. It is a fun survival game that I would recommend to anyone who is into building and crafting mechanics, but also strives for an interesting story. This one hits game preview on July 29th for Xbox and PC. Ninja Gaiden Ragebound is a classic take on the well-known IP, taking it back to its 2D side-scrolling roots. From developers The Game Kitchen, who most recently did Blasphemous and Blasphemous 2, this looks like a fast-paced 2D platformer with sparkling pixel art graphics. This game is high on my wish list and it looks super fun. Ragebound comes on July 31st for everything, including last gen. 2K have some pretty big games on the horizon, but one that is supposed to be a smaller title is Mafia: The Old Country. It acts as a prequel to the first Mafia game and is set in Sicily in the 1900s. It will explore the early origins of the Italian mafia bred in Sicily. 2K have announced that this one will have a smaller price tag attached to it, which seemingly implies it will be a smaller, perhaps more linear game than the others in the franchise. The Old Country has a release date of August 8th, coming to PC, PS5 and Xbox Series. series. My personal game of the show from the PlayStation State of Play was Sword of the Sea. This is a platformer where the main focus is traversal on your hover sword. The trailers seem to show some Tony Hawk-esque tricks, but all set in a visually striking desert world. This indie game will be packed full of wonder, and I have no doubt it will be a day one pickup for me when it drops on August 19th for PS5 and PC. Highly anticipated remake Metal Gear Solid Delta Snake Eater is finally coming this August. We have seen a ton of this game in the past couple of years, and I'm sure everyone is ready to get their hands back on the stealth shooter. It will feature all of the original 2004's beloved wackiness and revolutionary gameplay. This one hits on August 28th for Xbox Series, PC, and PS5. Ninja Gaiden Ragebound isn't the only incredible looking 2D side-scrolling action platformer coming this year, as a month later, Shinobi Art of Vengeance releases. This is not in a pixel art style like Ragebound, but instead a beautifully hand-drawn one. From the developers of Streets of Rage 4, the Shinobi franchise comes back looking better than ever. This one drops on August 29th for everything including last gen. Into September now, and we have Hell Is Us, which has been surprising a lot of people in previews. This third-person action-adventure game is being given its initial flowers for the intense exploration and investigative gameplay. It seems you as the player will get little guidance and must pay attention to the things you find and the conversations you have as you navigate the broken world. The melee combat is supposed to also be a challenge, but it has a parry, so I'm more than happy. Hell Is Us is releasing September 4th for PS5, Xbox Series, and PC. My number 2 game from last year, Indiana Jones, is getting an expansion. The Order of Giants sees us don the fedora once again as we solve the mysteries deep within the caverns under Rome. I absolutely adored this game, and I can't wait to get back into it later this year. If you haven't played the base game yet, I can't recommend it enough, and you also have enough time to play it before the Order of Giants hits on September 4th for Xbox Series, PC, and PS5. Baby Steps is a very unique game in its own right. This one isn't necessarily for the wider audience, but I wanted to spotlight it as I always like to promote games with a little bit of flavor. In Baby Steps, you control both individual legs of the bloke on screen here and try to get to a point across the map whilst meeting many colourful characters along the way. The trailers we have seen look hilarious, and I will for sure be checking it out, even though I don't think I'll be very good at the gameplay. Baby Steps comes to PS5 and PC on September 8th. From a niche indie to a AAA blockbuster, Borderlands is getting a 4th title, aptly named Borderlands 4. If you like looter shooters and the previous games, Gearbox has you covered, as this one seems to be more of the same but on a bigger scale. They have even stated that they may cut back on toilet humor, which shows a maturing for the franchise. What isn't maturing is CEO Randy Pitchford, who has been saying some wild things lately, so yeah, there's that. If you're a real fan though, you can pick up Borderlands 4 on September 12th for Xbox Series, PS5, and PC. For the rest of my fellow horror lovers, you might want to keep an eye on this one. Silent Hill F brings the franchise to Japan in the 1960s, following high school girl Hinako as she encounters some of the most disgusting creatures I've ever seen. The body horror and tension seem higher than ever with this title, and I can't wait to scare myself half to death on September 25th when this releases for PS5, Xbox Series, and PC. What does the F stand for? Heading into October, we have one of the biggest game releases of the year. Ghost of Yotei is Sucker Punch's follow-up to the beloved Ghost of Tsushima. This title will take place 300 years after the events of the main game in a different area of Japan and a different protagonist, with Atsu taking center stage. She looks badass, and Sony have said we will get a deeper look into the mechanics of this game sometime in July. Ghost of Yotei is coming to PS5 only on October 2nd. Something I am incredibly split on is Pokemon Legends ZA. The self-proclaimed lover of Pokemon that I am really fell out of love with the franchise with Scarlet and Violet. Having said that, I did really love Pokemon Legends Arceus, and ZA shares a name with that. The difference is that the new title is set seemingly in present day in Lumio City from the X and Y games. The starters here are a bit of a mix of gens with Totodile, Chikorita, and Tepig. I've never actually done a run with a Tepig starter, so I know which one I'm choosing when this releases on the Nintendo Switch and Switch 2 on October 16th. Hopefully this game runs a lot better on the Switch 2 hardware, as the last games were very unacceptable if I'm being honest. Double Fine are one of the most unique game creators in the space, and that doesn't seem to be changing anytime soon with their new title Keeper, where you play as a walking lighthouse. We have not seen much of this adventure game yet, but it seems to involve the developer's iconic trippy visuals, and after having so much fun with Psychonauts 2 a few years ago, I'm sure Keeper will be a blast too. I love a quick turnaround, and for this one there is less than 5 months between reveal and release, as Keeper hits on October 17th for Xbox Series and PC. Ninja Gaiden 4 is a return for the long-running franchise after Ninja Gaiden 3 released 13 years ago. Co-developed by Team Ninja and Platinum Games, this one seems to keep the intense, fast-paced action and over-the-top gore from my favorite in the series, Ninja Gaiden 2. Whilst Ryu Hayabusa does return in this, he is not the main character, as we will mostly be playing as young ninja prodigy Yakumo. The initial word on this seems to say that Yakumo is of a rival ninja clan to the Hayabusas, which could mean heavier story beats. Ninja Gaiden 4 hits for PS5, Xbox Series and PC on October 21st. This is a packed end to October, as next up is The Outer Worlds 2. Obsidian Entertainment are having an absolutely unbelievable 2025 run, as this will be their third game release of the year after Avowed and Grounded 2. As a sequel to the much loved Outer Worlds, this seems to build on everything whilst giving some fresh new things to enjoy. The companion-based space RPG seems to still have all of the humor of the first, and also my favorite feature, the freedom to kill anyone you want. Xbox did a deep dive into this game after their showcase earlier this month, so check that one out if you want to get into the weeds of everything you can expect from this game when it releases on October 29th for PC, PS5 and Xbox Series. My final game with an official release date and rounding out October is Mina the Hollower. This gorgeous 8-bit pixel art side-scroller is from Yacht Club Games, the developers of Shovel Knight. It's beautifully animated action-adventure gameplay is a real treat for the senses and something outside of the norm to feast on. The combat mechanics sound like they run deep, and there will be big boss fights. I cannot wait for this one, and it releases on the spookiest day of the year, October 31st for PC and possibly consoles, yet that is currently TBC. That is all the games with an official release date, but this video does not end here. There are plenty of games left in 2025 that you should keep your eye on that just have release windows. Everyone fell in love with Hades 2 when it released last year into early access. Supergiant have had a very successful sequel with this one, especially considering how much people enjoyed the first one. Hades 2 sees you take control of new character Melinoe, Princess of Darkness. The combat is vastly different in this one, as you use magic and witch-like abilities to battle your way out of hell in this roguelike. The reason Hades 2 is on this list is the fact it is due the official 1.0 release in 2025, and that is when I will be picking it up for sure. This one is coming to all platforms, including the Nintendo Switch 2, where it is apparently releasing first. Obviously, all eyes are on the Switch 2 and what games come with that. One of those is Hyrule Warriors Age of Imprisonment, which follows on from the previous Hyrule Warriors games that blends the world of Zelda and Dynasty Warriors. This particular title focuses on Princess Zelda's experience in the past that we see during the story of Tears of the Kingdom. A big issue with these games on the Switch was the frame rate, which I imagine will no longer be a problem on the Switch 2 when this releases sometime in winter of 2025. Another one of those Switch 2 games is Kirby Air Riders. This racing game continues the franchise, with the last game in the series being a whopping 22 years ago with Kirby Air Ride for the GameCube. It's interesting to see this being released in the same year as a new Mario Kart, but it seems to have an audience. We have seen nothing of gameplay here, but apparently it releases sometime in 2025 for the Nintendo Switch 2. A game that I fear may never be coming out at this point is Judas. This is the new game from BioShock creator Ken Levine and seems to share many of the same qualities as those games. Judas leaves behind the underwater city of BioShock 1 and 2 and even further than the cloud city of BioShock Infinite to travel to space aboard a ship called the Mayflower. Playing as the titular character, you must unravel the mystery that seems to be aboard this computer-controlled spaceship. BioShock is one of my favorite games of all time, and I cannot wait to play Judas, but it just keeps getting delayed. Let's hope that 2025 is finally the year for this one. Back to the Switch 2, and with the launch of a brand new console, you would expect there to be a lot of first-party support. And for Nintendo, that continues with Metroid Prime 4 Beyond, a game that was first announced way back in 2017. We have seen more and more of this in the past year, and I believe it had a playable build at the Nintendo events back in April. Prime is the first-person Metroid series, and with 4 we seem to get psychic powers that Samus can use both in combat and for puzzle solving. I think this game might be a lot of people's reasons of picking up a Switch 2, but it is also available on the Switch 1. Metroid Prime 4 Beyond is slated for a 2025 release. If you want a visually unique game, then look no further than Mouse PI for Hire, a game animated in a classic cartoony art style that draws parallels to the Steamboat Willie era. You play as private investigator Jack Pepper as you sleuth and shoot your way through the noir jazz-filled early 20th century romp. This caught my eye ever since it was first revealed, and we may finally get our hands on it soon, as it has a 2025 release window for PS5, Xbox Series and PC. One of the games coming this year that I am most excited for is Mixtape from Beethoven and Dinosaur. This is very Life is Strange coated and therefore very up my street. We follow a group of friends on their last night of high school in a story that seems to take a lot of influences from teen movies. This one is going for that nostalgia hit, but also what this game has pulling for it is the soundtrack. Featuring music from Devo, Roxy Music, Lush, The Smashing Pumpkins, Iggy Pop, Susie and the Banshees, Joy Division and many more is what the synopsis says on Annapurna's website. There was a playable build of this at SGF, and I cannot wait for them to give an official release date, but for now it's just 2025 for PC, Xbox Series and PS5. People didn't have much faith with Bloober Team after a string of poorly received games. That narrative took a sharp turn when they released last year's critically acclaimed Silent Hill 2 remake. Their next game, Chronos: The New Dawn, continues their legacy of horror games and looks really promising. Taking the role of a traveler who looks like an entity in a Big Daddy-esque spacesuit, you must travel through time portals in Eastern Europe, splitting your movements between the future and the late 1900s. There's some creepy looking monsters crawling about which give Dead Space vibes, and I'm certainly intrigued to see how this one turns out. There is no official release date, but a slightly slimmer window of fall 2025 for PS5, Xbox Series and PC. First shown at the Game Awards last year, Dispatch is a strategy game crossed with an interactive narrative experience. It is from Ad Hoc Studio, who are made of ex-Telltale devs. Working in a superhero dispatch center, you play as the individual who must assign these heroes to their emergencies. There is an emphasis on choices as you would expect from the Telltale legacy, but mostly I'm really interested in how the narrative experience blends with the strategy gameplay. It also boasts a very impressive voice cast. There is currently a demo up for this as part of Steam Next Fest, and it is set to release in 2025 for PC and consoles. Sticking with a similar title, Rock Beasts is a narrative-driven management game. You act as the band manager for a ragtag band. It promises branching narratives and twists and turns which imply choices matter, and for that reason, it is also right up my street. On the management side, it says you'll be picking the venue, prepping the set, and making sure the performance goes well. I'm not exactly sure how this will look in practice, as we haven't seen much of the game at all, but on paper it sounds fun. The art style definitely draws parallels from BoJack Horseman with its anthropomorphic animals, and I adore that show. Rock Beasts has a loose 2025 release date for PC, PS5, Xbox Series, and the Switch. We're in for an absolute treat in 2025, and I'm sure there's still many more games to be announced. Hopefully I spotlighted at least something that sticks out for you. If you like these style of videos, please hit up my channel for all of the major summer gaming showcases. Most of the big games that showed up at those events had 2026 release windows, so it will take you further than this video if you so please. Don't forget to leave a like and subscribe if you want to show your support, or leave a thumbs down if you want me to do better. Let me know in the comments below what 2025 game you are most looking forward to, and for everything casual gamer, keep it here. Peace and love.